The streets of Lagos never truly slept. Even at midnight, the distant hum of traffic and occasional honk of a danfo bus echoed through the alleys. Daily trudged along the cracked pavement, hands buried deep in his pockets. His stomach growled, reminding him that he hadn't eaten since morning. He stopped in front of a dimly lit ATM booth, its blue screen flickering slightly. He didn't have a kobo in his account, but desperation made him pause. If only I had just 5k, he muttered under his breath, just to get through the week. A gust of wind rushed past him, rattling a nearby signboard. Then something strange happened. The ATM screen glitched for a moment, then displayed 3 words in bold, glowing text. Take what you need. Dele's breath caught in his throat. He glanced around. There was no one nearby, just the empty street and the faint buzz of a street lamp. He stepped closer, squinting at the screen, but the words had disappeared. His heart pounded as he hesitantly inserted his debit card. He knew his balance was practically zero, but to his shock, the machine whirred and spat out crisp naira notes, 5,000 exactly. He hesitated only for a second before snatching the money and hurrying home. The next morning, Dele sat at his table, eating a full plate of steaming jollof rice, something he hadn't had in weeks. The weight of his struggles felt lighter now. Maybe his luck had finally turned. As he chewed, the sound of the TV news droned in the background. He barely paid attention until a certain report caught his ear. Tragedy struck last night as a local street vendor collapsed and died under mysterious circumstances. Witnesses say he was last seen near the bank on. Dele froze, spoon halfway to his mouth. He had passed that vendor on his way home from the ATM. The old man had been sitting on a stool, counting his meager earnings. A strange chill crept down his spine. Had the ATM? No, it was just a coincidence, right? Days passed, and Dele returned to the ATM. Each time, the screen flickered with those same words, take what you need. And each time, money came out. It was never excessive, just enough to cover his needs. New clothes, good food, a few drinks with friends. Life was finally good. But every morning, the news carried another strange death. A bus driver, a fruit seller, a security guard, each one eerily close to where Dele had made his withdrawals. He tried to ignore it. He told himself it wasn't his fault. But late at night, he could hear it. A whisper, soft at first, like the rustling of dry leaves, but it was always there. Take what you need. One night, Dele awoke suddenly, heart hammering. A faint scratching sound came from his door. His apartment was small. a single room space with barely enough room for a bed and a chair. He swallowed hard and sat up, listening. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Then a knock. He turned to the window. His breath hitched. Outside, the night was unnaturally still, but pressed against the glass was a faint, shadowy figure. He couldn't make out its face, but it was watching him. His phone buzzed violently on the bedside table. He grabbed it, hands shaking. A news alert. Another unexplained death. Last seen withdrawing money. His stomach twisted. This was no coincidence. Something was wrong. Daly ran to the ATM. His breath ragged. He shoved his card into the slot with trembling hands. Please, he whispered, just one last time. The machine remained silent. Then the screen flickered. New words appeared. Payment due. Daly's balance flashed on the screen. First, it showed 0.00. Then something else appeared beneath it. One life remaining. His blood ran cold. The whispers grew louder, swirling around him like a storm. The screen distorted, and suddenly, hands, dark, twisted hands, emerged from the ATM. Their fingers stretching unnaturally long. Before he could scream, they grabbed him, pulling him toward the screen, as if the machine itself was swallowing him whole. The last thing Daly saw was his own reflection, stretched and distorted, his mouth open in a silent, eternal scream. Then the ATM beeped once, and all was quiet. Moral of the story: greed always has a price. Sometimes it is one you can't pay back.